For hours, family and friends of the 8th grader stood outside the crime scene tape, hoping for a shred of information.
We went to the apartment neighbors tell us is always full of people and noisy. But no one answered. Through the window, we could see flashing party lights, empty food containers, and trash. While police continue to investigate, this is just a hint of what may have happened inside.
In the early morning hours of April 22nd, 2025, a mother's worst fear unfolded in Raleigh, North Carolina. Shauna Daniel was at home when she received a flurry of frantic social media messages around 2:30 a.m., all suggesting something terrible had happened to her 13-year-old daughter, Mykia. Panicked, she dialed 911 immediately. Police rushed to the trails of North Hills Apartments, a complex off Lead Mine Road, and there, inside one of the units, officers found Mykia Daniel gone from a discharge wound to the head. It was a scene of devastation.
Multiple RPD units outside reference to a subject that was 102 but 1032. Same as suffering from a wound after playing with the same.
Our complainant received a call saying that someone was, but no one's heard it in this area.
Mykia did not live at that apartment. In fact, a family advocate later explained that she lived with her family in a different part of town. The North Hills apartment was known among local teens as a hangout spot, a so-called party house, where children would gather with little supervision. Why Mykia was there that night remains unclear, but the aftermath was unmistakably grim. Police noted that no firearm was recovered at the scene, though a single spent shell casing was found in another room of the apartment. This chilling detail suggested that whoever pulled the trigger had fled, taking the weapon with them. As detectives secured the crime scene, Mykia's mother and family could only wait in anguish for confirmation of the unthinkable, that the beloved 8th grader was really gone.
What we're hearing from someone who is an advocate for the family. She describes herself as that. And that woman says that the teenage girl is the focus of the police investigation, which the police now calling it an investigation. She describes the teenager as a victim of poverty and neglect. She did not specify what kind of issues the teenager struggled to overcome, but she indicated that the teen did have a court date scheduled in June. She also said the teen had been suspended from school before, and the advocate said she and others tried more than once before today to intervene and get that teenage girl some help.
That she was a very caring and a loving, scared child. And she had to face situations that most children at 13 or her age group would not have to face in a normal situation. And so we have our children that are growing up long before their time because of the situation that they're placed in.
In the wake of Mykia's passing, investigators began digging into what might have led a 13-year-old to such an end. According to later released search warrants, a possible motive surfaced from an incident a week and a half before. On April 12th, Mykia had been in a fight at school with another student. The two girls had reportedly been best friends until their friendship inexplicably fell apart and erupted into a physical altercation. Both Mykia and the other student were suspended after the fight. Students at Ligon Magnet Middle School whispered that the bad energy from that dispute hadn't ended in the principal's office. In fact, some students told school administrators they believed Mykia's life was taken because of the escalating tensions from that fight. The notion was alarming because really, could a schoolyard clash between former friends have escalated to fatality? Police took note of these reports as they worked to piece together the puzzle of Mykia's final days. It wouldn't take long for their attention to turn to a teenager in Mykia's circle and a series of digital clues he left behind. As dawn broke on April 22nd, investigators fanned out to find out who had been with Daniels that night. Before long, one name rose to the forefront: 16-year-old Zylan Abrams, who is known to her. In fact, social media would later reveal photos of the two together with a smiling Mykia alongside the taller teen boy. This hinted that they were at least acquaintances. Within hours of her passing, a torrent of online evidence began to surface. These painted a disturbing picture of what happened and the remorse that followed. Mykia's older sister was one of the first to learn of the tragedy through Instagram. In her inbox was a direct message from Zylan himself, effectively confessing that something had gone horribly wrong. Abrams told Mykia's sister that he was going to turn himself in and that he, quote, didn't intend to her. These shocking messages from the suspected assailant were how Mykia's own family found out she was gone, a heartbreaking modern twist where news travels via social media instead of through authorities. Abrams' Instagram activity did not stop at private messages, however. Investigators discovered that he had also posted a short video and other content hinting at what happened. In one video clip, Abrams claimed that they only meant to scare Mykia and not end her. Even more haunting was an Instagram photo Abrams posted, captioned with a string of regret, quote, "I am sorry," with plenty of Ys. It was as if he was trying to undo the night's events through digital confessions, apologies sent into the void of the internet, even as Mykia lay gone and her family's world shattered.
The court documents say Daniel was involved in a fight at Legan Middle School on April 12th, which led to her and the other student being suspended. Days later, on April 22nd, the 8th grader's family called 911 after being contacted on social media about reports that Mykia was at this apartment complex in North Hills. Police learned Abrams allegedly contacted Daniel's sister on social media. In the warrants, the message reads, "I'm sorry, I'm turning myself in today," and goes on to describe that he wrote that he didn't mean for any of this to happen. Others shared with officers that they were just supposed to scare her.
Every clue only made the situation more tragic. The teenager allegedly responsible for Mykia's passing appeared remorseful, but Mykia was still gone and apologies could not bring her back. Meanwhile, the Raleigh Police Department was already on the hunt for Abrams. Perhaps realizing the gravity of what he'd done, he soon made good on his word to surrender. Within 2 days, police arrested the 16-year-old suspect in connection with Mykia losing her life. According to warrants, when officers took Abrams into custody, he shockingly asked if he could get back the firearm used in the fatality, an unnerving request that highlighted his youth and apparent disconnect from the magnitude of his actions. The firearm itself, however, was no critical evidence and a key piece of a fatality case that was just beginning. For Mykia's grieving family, Zylan's arrest was a first step toward justice. Still, it was hard to reconcile that the alleged assailant was himself just a teenager. The case soon moved from juvenile proceedings to adult court due to its severity. On May 13th, a Wake County grand jury indicted 16-year-old Abrams on a charge of first-degree fatality in Mykia Daniels' passing. This indictment meant that he would be tried as an adult, facing the possibility of life in prison. Wake County District Attorney Lauren Freeman highlighted how sobering and unusual it is to prosecute someone so young for such a serious crime.
What we're seeing really is rising the level of an epidemic of juvenile violence, and it's very concerning. We have charged multiple juveniles just this year with homicide, and so the proliferation of weapons and our children getting access to weapons and making poor decisions certainly is something that is alarming. You're making decisions to keep the community safe and to honor the victim and the victim's family's wishes in a case. Also is just the lack of ability to hold people accountable within the juvenile system for the type of violence that we are seeing.
News of Mykia's passing spread quickly through Raleigh, leaving many in shock, especially at her school. At Logan Magnet Middle School, teachers and students arrived that Monday to the devastating announcement that one of their own had lost her life. Mykia's desk sat empty, serving as a reminder to her friends that she would never return to class.
The principal sending this letter out to parents, in part saying, quote, "Our condolences and thoughts go out to her family and friends. Please keep them and all of those that have been impacted by this loss in your hearts. We want to honor the family and be respectful of their need for privacy at this time."
In the days that followed, the community rallied around the Daniels family, with dozens of relatives, neighbors, and classmates gathering for a candlelight vigil just days after the tragedy. On the evening of the Saturday, purple and white balloons, Mykia's favorite colors, were released into the sky at Raleigh's John Chavis Memorial Park as a symbol of love and remembrance. Family members wept openly, clutching candles and each other's hands for support. Friends recalled Mykia's bright smile and bubbly personality, mourning the milestones she would never get to experience.
These balloons will be released, but the pain held within this group will never go away.
A child's life was taken at 13, so we devastated.
Mykia Daniel will forever be 13.
She had a beautiful soul, a beautiful spirit, and she was still a baby at the end of the day.
That number has only grown as the days have gone on.
Everybody is hurting. Some can't eat, some can't sleep.
At Chavis Park, some mourned Daniel's by sharing stories of burying their own children due to violence.
I think we all need to get together and get on the same page and not just talk about it. It is now time for the clarion call. We've got to do something right now to make sure that we save our children.
Hopefully these kids realize that, life is real. Things can happen at any moment. I'm grateful to be here. I just hope everything changes the community.
Some of Mykia's teachers and her principal from Ligon Middle were also there. They say they will have bereavement counselors available.
But do something about it.
Another young life lost, now living somewhere above.
The only good thing that comes out of it is that she's with her father now, both of them.
Here in Raleigh, family and friends gathering today to honor the life of a 13-year-old girl named Mykia Daniel.
This is her obituary. You can see a lot of smiles here. Family and friends want her to be remembered as more than just the latest victim in Raleigh.
They took a baby. They took a baby from us. They hurt us real bad with this one.
You're looking at a few of Mykia Daniel's protectors. These are her big cousins, all dressed in white, to send their baby off to her final resting place.
Why?
Because it's full of life. Like, it's not,
purity.
She's gone, but her soul's still living forever 13, forever long.
Forever 13, Mykia, forever. If you see us going like this, it's Mykia. The M's for Mykia.
We have to pay attention to what's really going on within the community when it comes to who has access to what. So this may have been a mistake. We don't know what the situation is, but for a young boy to have access to a firearm, that's something that needs to be looked at.
This family grieving the loss of a young girl who had so much life ahead of her, now vowing to never forget her.
We're gonna forever keep her presence known while she's gone. We got it down here, Mykia. You keep it up there.
Tragically, Mykia's fatality added to a growing trend of violence among young people in the Raleigh area. Law enforcement and city leaders pointed out that the issue went beyond just policing. It was a community-wide challenge. Juveniles, some as young as 13 or 14, were getting caught up in fatal conflicts, and the reasons often traced back to things like petty arguments, social media disputes, influences, or in Mykia's case, perhaps a personal falling out between friends. Through all the discussions of crime and justice, it was important not to lose sight of who Mykia Daniel was. She was an outgoing 13-year-old girl who loved dancing on TikTok, giggling with friends, and spending time with her family. She had hoped to attend high school the following year and had dreams of one day going to college and making her mother proud. Those who loved her have worked tirelessly to ensure that she is remembered not just as a statistic or a victim, but as a daughter, sister, friend, and vibrant member of the community. 1 year after her passing, the Daniels family organized another vigil to celebrate Mykia's life and to remind Raleigh that the fight against youth violence must continue. More than 100 people gathered and they released balloons once more, watching them drift upward toward the heavens, each carrying a message of love. Mykia's mother, Shauna, told those assembled that the last year had been one of indescribable pain and heartbreak for their family.
A missing piece to their family that will never be filled. Daniel's sisters tell WRAL they would give anything to see her again.
We gotta live with this every day. We gotta live with this every day. We ain't never gonna get her back.
Daniel's Aunt Six tells us she will continue to speak out and tell Daniel's story, hoping that what happened to her niece won't happen to anyone else.
Her life was taken. It wasn't nothing that was accidental. It was something that was purposely done. And so every day's a day. It's a process of pushing forward. And that's where we're at right now, just pushing forward with everything.
We asked the Daniels family if there was anything they had to say to Mykia's killer, and they told us although this past year has been extremely difficult, they forgive him and they hope he uses his time behind bars for reflection.
As we reflect on this case, it's impossible not to feel the weight of its emotional journey. From the moment a mother learned of a child's fate via social media, to the day a teenager was charged with fatality, and through the year of grief that followed. This story has put our human face on the crisis of youth violence. It reminds us that behind every statistic is a child like Mykia, a child who deserved a chance to grow up. May the family and friends of Mykia Daniel find solace in the happy memory, and may her soul rest in perpetual peace. Thank you.